Day 106 of World War II, December 15, 1939. In Montevideo, the German pocket battleship Graf Spee has been ordered to leave within 72 hours, with the British Navy waiting outside the port. The Winter War delivers one of Finland's biggest victories so far. After days of fighting, Finnish forces completed a series of attacks against the Soviet Eighth Army. Near Tolvajärvi, the Soviet 139th Division is virtually destroyed, while the 75th Division suffers heavy losses as well. The Finns also capture large amounts of valuable Soviet equipment, something desperately needed by the outgunned defenders. And further north, another major clash begins, the Battle of Suomussalmi. Meanwhile, from Helsinki, Finland makes one more attempt at diplomacy. In a radio broadcast, the Finnish foreign minister offers to reopen negotiations with the Soviet Union, but makes Finland's position unmistakably clear. The Finns will never submit to a foreign yoke. On the Western Front, Britain continues preparing for a much larger war. 3 infantry brigades already stationed in France are officially organized into the British 5th Division. Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain personally visits British troops as the quiet front slowly hardens into a massive defensive line. Day 107 of World War II, December 16, 1939. The Soviet Union launches one of its biggest attacks of the Winter War. At the Mannerheim Line, the main forces of the Soviet 7th Army finally arrive and begin a major offensive. Near Summa, waves of Soviet infantry, tanks, and aircraft crash into Finnish defenses in what becomes known as the First Battle of Summa. The goal is simple: break through Finland's main defensive line. But despite overwhelming numbers and air support, the initial attacks fail. For 2 days, Soviet forces throw themselves against the Finnish positions without success. Meanwhile, in Rome, criticism of the Soviet Union grows louder. Italian Foreign Minister Count Galeazzo Ciano delivers a speech attacking the Soviet invasion of Finland, echoing the increasingly pro-Finnish tone spreading through Italian media. Italy has already begun sending volunteers and military supplies to aid Finland. And in Germany, another large movement of people comes to an end. The relocation of roughly 51,000 ethnic Germans from Latvia into former Polish territories controlled by Germany is completed, part of a broader reshaping of populations across occupied Europe. Day 108 of World War II, December 17, 1939. One of the most famous naval hunts of the early war reaches its dramatic end. In Argentina, the captain of the German pocket battleship Admiral Graf Spee, Hans Langsdorff, faces a difficult decision. British warships wait outside Montevideo, while British diplomats spread rumors that even larger warships, including the battlecruiser HMS Renown, are closing in. Believing he is trapped, Langsdorff makes his choice. Rather than fight a hopeless battle, he orders the Graf Spee scuttled outside the harbor. Meanwhile, in the Winter War, Soviet attacks intensify along the Mannerheim Line near Summa. The pattern quickly becomes familiar. During the day, Soviet tanks break into Finnish positions, but at night, Finnish troops emerge from hidden defenses, cut off the tanks from supporting infantry, and destroy them in close combat. Elsewhere, in Britain, the 1st Canadian troops arrive in Liverpool, bringing over 7,500 men of the 1st Canadian Division. And on the Western Front, German reconnaissance flights increase, possibly signaling preparations for something larger. Day 109 of World War II, December 18, 1939. Over Germany, the Battle of the Helgoland Bight erupts as British bombers attempt an armed reconnaissance mission over Wilhelmshaven, but German fighters are waiting. Around 50 Messerschmitt Me-109 and Me-110 fighters intercept 22 RAF Wellington bombers in a fierce air battle. The result is devastating. 12 British bombers are shot down, while Germany loses only 4 fighters. Meanwhile, in Berlin, Adolf Hitler meets once again with Wittgen Quisling, promising German financial support in exchange for cooperation with Germany's military leadership. In London, Commodore Henry Harwood, hero of the Battle of River Plate, is promoted to Rear Admiral. And in Argentina, the 1,039 officers and crewmen of the Admiral Graf Spee are officially interned. Across the Atlantic, in Washington, the U.S. Navy promises to send 40 aircraft to Finland. Lastly, in the Winter War, Soviet attacks against the Mannerheim Line near Summa continue, accompanied by renewed bombing of Helsinki and shelling of Finland's coastal defenses. December 19, 1939. The war at sea continues to expose just how complicated neutrality can become. In the North Atlantic, the German liner Columbus faces a difficult choice. Closely tracked by the American cruiser USS Tuscaloosa, its location has been repeatedly broadcast over radio as British destroyers close in. Rather than allow the ship to be captured, its crew makes a final decision. They scuttle the Columbus, sinking their own vessel roughly 300 miles off the American coast. The incident raises uncomfortable questions, because for a nation claiming neutrality, America seems to be helping Britain quite a bit. Meanwhile, in Britain, scientists score a major breakthrough. Researchers led by Dr. C.F. Goodeve and Dr. E.C. Bullard develop a method to defeat Germany's deadly magnetic mines. The new process, called degaussing, creates an opposing magnetic field around a ship, potentially neutralizing one of Germany's most successful naval weapons. In Germany, a new threat enters the war as the commerce raider Atlantis is launched. And, in the Winter War, Soviet assaults against the Mannerheim Line near Summa continue. Day 111 of World War II, December 20th, 1939. The saga of the Admiral Graf Spee comes to a tragic end. In Argentina, former Graf Spee commander Hans Langsdorff ends his life in his hotel room. Just days earlier, he had ordered his ship scuttled rather than send his crew into what he believed would be a hopeless battle against superior British forces. Meanwhile, British specialists began examining the wreck of the Graf Spee, paying close attention to its advanced radar equipment. Elsewhere, in the United States, the cruiser USS Tuscaloosa arrives in New York carrying 579 survivors from the scuttled German liner Columbus. In the Winter War, Soviet attacks against the Mannerheim Line near Summa continue, but with less intensity. Further north, Finnish forces score another success, cutting off the Soviet 122nd Division near Salla as it advances from the White Sea region. And in Washington, America tightens its position on neutrality, banning the export of technical information used to produce aviation fuel for nations at war. Day 112 of World War II, December 21st, 1939. From Berlin, Hitler sends birthday greetings to Joseph Stalin on his 60th birthday, wishing him personal well-being and a prosperous future for the Soviet people. And from Moscow, Stalin responds warmly, declaring that the friendship between Germany and the Soviet Union, cemented by blood, has every reason to remain lasting and strong. Meanwhile, in the Winter War, Soviet attacks against the Mannerheim Line near Summa continue, though with reduced intensity. And further north, Finnish forces launch a successful counterattack near Kemijärvi, driving Soviet troops back nearly 20 miles. In France, the government publishes its Yellow Book, a collection of diplomatic documents intended to explain the events leading to war. And in Britain, the soldiers of Canada's 1st Division hold the first ceremonial parade at Aldershot, symbolizing Canada's growing role in the conflict.